Greetings and stalagmites. Good evening, everyone. I am going to try to make this semi-quick. I'm going to be heading off to dinner shortly. Two things, or possibly just one thing, to talk about tonight. It comes up because Caltrain, yet again, today hit someone, and as far as I understand, it was either one or two people. And this could fall into a Motivational Monday blog, but I figured do it today because it's more pertinent, because it happened today. So, the hope is, ironically, of the two options or two things that two ways they could have happened, or two ways that they could have hit someone, is one, somebody just didn't pay attention to all of the signs and all of the lights that are around every Caltrain or even train crossing or station or anything like that. That's the hope, more so than the other option, which is suicide. I'm not going to make this too dark. I don't want it to get that dark, but there have been times that even I have thought about such a thing, and it's not something that you should feel ashamed of. Sometimes things get rough, and life's hard to deal with sometimes. It really is. I've mentioned in the past that you need to vent if you have to, because balling things up inside doesn't work. It just doesn't. Any time I've ever seen that happen, it destroys the person inside. So, with that, I preface this with, this is my opinion of how these events happen. And it's extremely easy to get frustrated with the fact that people either blame Caltrain or people blame the train tracks or something along those lines. They blame the stupid things. They don't blame the person. And there are even people who blame the people. It's very difficult when it becomes a regular occurrence like it has with Caltrain in particular, because it happens quite a bit, literally. I don't think I've seen it happen as much as I have in the last year, or at least heard about it. I've never seen it. If I did, I think that would be a traumatizing experience in and of itself. But it gets frustrating, and it's easy to get frustrated because, well, the hope is that the person didn't pay attention to the signs, because obviously it means that it wasn't intentional. They didn't intend to screw up everyone's commute. And I know this sounds insensitive, and again, I should preface this with, this is my opinion. By all means, it is not fact in any way, shape, or form, and I do not mean to offend anyone in any way, shape, or form as well. It's just this, even in the Bay Area, people I've talked to, it's easy to say, damn it, why did the person have to commit suicide on this day? And I will admit I've said the same thing, but it's difficult because, well, there's so many ways that you can do it if you want to. I don't suggest that anybody do it. I think it's kind of a selfish way of going about life, or going about your wants or needs. It's not a need. You never need to commit suicide. Never. Ever, ever. It should never be a need. You don't need to do it. Life gets hard, but there's options out there. There's people out there who will listen to you. I guarantee you that. There's hotlines, which are wonderful. They're staffed by wonderful volunteers, or more than likely volunteers, who are more than willing to help you in any way, shape, or form. Maybe not in any way, shape, or form, but I know that they can help you. It's a wonderful service. It's not hard to find it. Just look it up. Easily. Suicide hotline. Perfect. Done. That's all there is to it. You call it, and you have a voice on the other end that you get to talk to. The most wonderful service in the world, and it's free. It saves lives, and it's worth it. So don't ever feel like you're at the end of your rope. Ever. But with that said, there are those people, and there are people all around who feel that not only is suicide a selfish option, but also it's selfish because, well, you're also taking into account, or you don't also take into account the fact that you're screwing up hundreds of people's commutes. So in this case today, I hadn't heard of Caltrain having to take 6 or 7, or I think it was actually 8 hours to clear up the schedule and all the mess and all of the problems that this morning caused. 6:30 in the morning I get to, 6:30 in the morning I find out this has happened. Things didn't clear up from what I understood until about 12 o'clock, so it was about like 6 hours, 5.5 hours, but still. Usually it's over in about 2 to 3 hours, coroner or sheriff, whatever gets there, everything's done, great. Well, not great, of course, but it's done. Things are back to normal, etc. But today seemed particularly awful, and I don't envy those conductors, those engineers on that train, the cleanup crew, the coroners, the sheriffs, anybody. I don't envy any of them today, and most of the time. It's a rough job. Having known what it's like to experience death, it's not fun. And it's not something I ever want to go through again, nor do I envy anybody who has to deal with it on a regular basis. I don't know how they do it. My heart goes out to them. And that's kind of it, I suppose, in my opinion on that. But goodbye to you too. There's another thing on perhaps a brighter note. I'd mentioned in last night's vlog that I wanted to possibly talk about how I got started with blogging and where I got started and all that. Going to try to make it short again, but it all started many years ago, or at least what feels like many years ago. I'd had another alias. I don't even know where it came from, but used to be known as Geekville on IRC, because, well, I was a geek, and I guess it might have, I think it might have come from SimCity, because it was one of the names of cities that you'd name your city. Well, okay, I guess that'll work. So that was the name that I used for SimCity, and it kind of stuck with me for some reason, so I used that alias for a while on IRC, and also in LiveJournal, which was where it all started many years ago. From then, it was kind of the emo blog, so to speak, and it was easy to just vent and do whatever I wanted and just talk about anything, and it didn't matter because it was just out there in the open. I didn't care what people thought. If it was reaching out for attention. I mean, at that age, you're kind of reaching out for attention. This was back when I was maybe 18, 17. Gosh, I don't even remember how long ago. After that, one of my friends had a movable type install, if I remember correctly, and he had we'd got it set up so that I was using movable type, which was pretty cool. Then from there, I moved to WordPress to my own. And then once I had that, I had my own domain, subdomain, which was blog.rarf.net, if I remember correctly, for the longest time. And then only recently did I get rid of that domain completely and moved from WordPress on some install. Oh, it was WordPress.com. Then I moved to a WordPress install on my own domain, on my own hosting. And then only just recently did I sign up with Ghost, which is really awesome software. It's still very much in development, but give it a few more months and it's going to be awesome. So far, I'm rather pleased. And instead of, actually there was one other place before that. I'd had a blog on Posteris. Posteris shut down, and that was when I moved to, I can't remember the name of it now. I was only there for a few months, and it's moved hosting many times. Amongst all that time, maybe only a few years ago, it got to the point where I really felt like I needed to pour my heart out, so to speak, every time I wrote a blog post. It was a way of kind of release of venting, really, as I've mentioned before. And it was interesting. It's weird. going back and looking at those posts from so many years ago and thinking, wow, I was really young. Because I was. It's hard to think about what it was like then. I can't get over. It's like looking at pictures of yourself 10 years ago. You just think about how things were then. Things were easier. Life was maybe easier. Your trials and tribulations at the time were just so insignificant compared to what they may be now. But it's been a long ride, and I think this vlog is going to be, I think, a much easier and better way of me getting things out and expressing myself in many different ways, or at least in the few ways that I can, not just in talking, blah, 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 blah. But whether it be in singing or showing you my photography or any of my hobbies, just having fun and enjoying life and sharing my experiences with you, the viewers. So I'm going to leave you all on that note. As I said, I'll try to make this kind of short today. Or sun is down tonight. I will probably have a more interesting one tomorrow. By all means, again, regarding the first topic, I didn't mean to make this too dark, and if it is, by all means, I apologize, but I felt it was something to talk about tonight because of what had happened today, and I'll leave you all with, again, suicide is never an option. If you want, you can even leave comments down below, and anything. Just, there's suicide hotlines. There's never, ever, ever, ever think that it's an option. Life gets hard. I know that. Most of us know that. And no matter where the end of your rope you think it is, the end of the rope should not be visible to you. The light at the end of the tunnel should. And with that, life is sometimes a blessing in disguise. So think of what happens when you get through that hurdle or through that tunnel and you realize, and you get to the other side. Just think of all the possibilities that could be lying there waiting for you. It's not something to take lightly. So, never think that that's an option, and always move forward. That's something I've also learned as well. But that also can be for another day, where I learned all that information. And again, this was meant to just kind of go over what's happened today, as well as perhaps express an opinion and things that I had talked about with others today. So, by all means, I do not condone suicide in any way, shape, or form. There's lots of help out there. There's lots to live. Life is worth living, and life is also what you make it. So, enjoy it. Don't be down. Anyway, I should leave you on that. I'm approaching the 15-minute mark, and I need to go. Nom, nom, nom. Yeah. So, until next time, good night and good luck.